It's me and Dr. V. You're on Just an American Citizen. There's Dr. V. How good does he look today? Okay.
Good to
He's
see you,
looking
Mark.
good. Yeah, right on. He got it done. I'm gonna have to get my hair done too. He got it done. He thought he looked like the doctor on the day the earth stood still. The original movie. What was his name again? Jaffe? Something
Dr. Jaffe,
Jaffe?
yeah, yeah, looked like a
Whatever.
crazy
He
guy.
had this crazy hair. It was absolutely tremendous. I loved it. He was the perfect scientist, the perfect one to talk to the alien when he came down. But
Yeah,
uh, but here we go. We're going to talk about a few things today. Let's first talk about the uh, the debate coming up.
yeah,
Okay, we're going to talk a whole lot about that. We'll let everybody know we're going to be on. We'll remind people as we go on. 11 o'clock Wednesday prior to the debate, 11 a.m. and 11 a.m. Friday after the debate as we start going on from there. But until then, let me just throw a couple of things out, which is kind of, I just sit there and I mean, look, the left wing's a pain in the butt. I know that. And there's a lot of crazies there. I know that. But I've been just soaking in TV. And I don't understand certain things. What I don't understand, Dr. V, is if you listen to the MAGAs coming on to CNN or even on MSNBC, I heard the head of we had a MAGA must have come on, came on and got off. They had it came, we was on yesterday, the head of the Heritage Foundation. When you ask them a question, they don't answer it. They say, this is the real question you should ask.
right,
Listen to them when they say it. This is the real question you should ask. Or they give you a quick answer, which is no answer, and
right.
then they roll it somewhere else. And when they're doing it, they don't smile. Well, the only one who does is Tim Scott, but he looks like a goof. I mean, he has totally changed from the guy who's supposed to be the okay guy. But
Yeah,
these other guys sit there and they go, and they just talk and they just talk and they just talk. And people let them just talk through everything.
right.
It's like, and like on CNN, they're really polite to everybody and they're really polite to these right wingers that come on. But I don't see anybody on Fox or on one network. I see Jessica Tarloff. She's really good. I watch her, but they don't let her come on that much. They're afraid to have people come after them and say, you're full of it. This is the way it is. It's like these guys have been coming on all weekend. Violent crime is the worst of all time. Really? No, it isn't. It's lower than 50 years ago. What are we missing? Nothing's perfect. We got problems, but what's going on, Dr. V? What's with the BS going on out there? And tell me, why do they always have to cuss? Will you explain what's the addiction? This is I forgot to tell everybody. This is the addiction expert, Finn. We love you. You got a shout out. Give us a thumbs up and check in with us. Feel free to throw any questions. This is the addiction expert. Tell me, Miss Dr. V,
Yeah.
why is there
I
always cussing going on? What am I, and this in your face? What am I missing? Finn, we do love you. Don't you love Finn, Dr. V?
absolutely.
Right
Welcome,
on.
Finn.
Now tell me,
Welcome,
why
Finn.
are they addicted to cussing and not answering questions and just going forward like that?
Uh, so what's interesting is the Republican Party does, you can either say a great job or a little bit of a misleading job, that they all seem to be on the same talking points. I don't know if they get the same memo that goes out to everyone, but they have the same talking points, and they're just very consistent with that. And
Hold on one second,
sure,
Dr. V. We got 15 viewers. You got guys got questions, you got thoughts, throw it
that's great.
into us. We're not afraid. We don't get bummed. We love it. If you disagree with us,
Absolutely.
right out the Philippines of watching us,
Philippines.
Dr. V. And China should leave you alone, guys.
Yeah.
Mr. Gonzalez, leave your ships alone. Go ahead, Dr. V.
Yeah. So, hey,
Gunther.
oh my goodness.
Oh man, uh-oh. A great joke from Gunther there. Go ahead, Dr. V. I should
Uh,
have cut. Gunther, I love it. Give us a thumbs up, guys. This is great. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. So I think what Fox News has learned, and to some extent the people in the MAGA verse have learned, is that by being outrageous, by being divisive, you can get more clicks, more viewers. And it's entertainment. It's a way to engage people, and they don't care about the adverse consequences to the rest of society by pulling people apart and getting people all riled up. So they play.
A1, we're not sure. I don't think World War III's here. I think Dr. V agrees with me. Keep going, Dr. V.
Yeah, so it's what I worry about, and a thread that I think goes through a lot of the issues that we have today is that people aren't talking to each other. People can't disagree in a reasonable way and learn from each other, and that's really a shame. And so there's no debate. There's no discussion when you bring on these guests into the CNN. If they get the right wing guys or you have a left wing guy on Fox, there's no discussion about issues. There's no solution for problems. It's people just saying a bunch of crap to get a reaction from other people, to get more viewers, to get more clicks, and
They're
that's a shame.
addicted to the clicks, right, Dr. V?
They're
This
going
is
for
the
the click.
addiction expert, right?
They're going for the clicks, and and you're right. It does have to do with addiction. That it's not enough to get 10 clicks. Now you have to get 15 clicks, and then 15 clicks isn't enough. You have to get 30 clicks,
Right.
and so your behavior is determined by what gives you the most clicks, and so we wind up being you know, not thoughtful in our discussion, but our behavior is governed by the reaction that we get and what we believe is going to get us most hits, most viewers.
Well, why do these anchors let them get away with putting the BS out there? Some don't, and they push back. But why do they? I mean, it's like they just think that the way to do it is just to be mad. Remember, you're talking the red tie. Wow, we grew up. USSR was red. They were reds. We couldn't wear red on the floor of the Congress because those were the communists. What are we talking about here? Okay, so it's like you sit there and you go, I don't understand what the problem is, and then just answer. They put on their tongue. Just go back at them, lay it out. You don't have to roll over to them. Yeah, that's why I don't understand. The right is afraid of having really, let's use the word, louder people on the left to go in after them, and they won't take that, but they come here and they say what they want, and they don't care that they're lying through their teeth. I mean, you listen to these guys. The head of the Heritage Foundation was laying BS on everybody yesterday on MSNBC, and they were being so nice to him. It's great to be nice, but come back at him and say, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Hey, Ben, Soviet Union fell 30 years ago, but I keep hearing the MAGAs talking about communism, communism, communism. That was Soviet Union. So they were the Reds. So if the MAGA wants to wear red, they're no different than Joe McCarthy and the rest of them because I think he was a communist underneath everything. You hear they're talking, Monica Crowley loves Joe McCarthy. That's where these guys are going. That's what these guys are going. A1 is at the end of freedom of opinion? No. You hear us talking? We don't care. You're putting your questions out there. It isn't the end yet. Okay. Am I sure? You better believe I'm sure. Go ahead, Dr. V.
yeah. I mean, let me put it to the people watching this today. Do you just want to hear?
Well, I think we can hold out. Look at India. They were sure Modi. He's the Hindu guy. Hates all the Muslims. Said he was going to win over 60%. He didn't, or over 600, whatever the number was. He didn't get it, and all the other stuff. So hey, let me just throw this out. Somebody keeps asking about the trans community. I'm with them. You do what you want to do. Look, my feeling is, Dr. V, live your life. Okay, if you're not hurting me, live your life. And that's just kind of where it is now. Are there issues? I don't want us to get deep into it now, but there's lots of issues on how trans intersects with people and how people are coming together and how people are dealing with each other and how we have to start coming together. But you know something? I don't see how they're going to ever have, or gay people or everything are really going to have it straight up until we all can just talk to each other about basic things. If we can't talk about basic things, we can't get into the specific things. And that's what I think the problem is here. My buddies still talk to me, even though they think I'm crazy. And I think Trump led the revolution. Of course he led the revolution. I tell them that, but we still hug each other and love each other. So what? We can do that. Why can't people do it, Dr. V? You're the doctor. Why not?
Uh, uh, they can do it, but you have to have respect for the person you're talking to. For example, you and I don't agree 100% on issues, but
We love those hearts. Keep those hearts going. Come
fundamentally,
on.
we care about each other. and we respect each other. And so even when we disagree, I can learn something from you. Maybe you can learn something from me now and then. And that's how we progress. But there has to be an underlying love there that people care about each other, and you just don't see it. And when you talk about the trans person, you're not talking about a specific person. And that's the thing. I have friends who some people would say are a little racist, but when they talk about people that they actually know, they're not racist. They're
Right.
not racist. When they talk about the friends that they grew up with, some of them were black, some of them were white, and they talk about them as human beings. But when they talk about the black culture, the white culture, whatever, then it's much easier to be racist about that. So you have to look at the individual, the human being that you're talking to, not some straw argument, not some straw person that exists in your head. You want a real human being that you're talking to.
I'm with him. And Ben, you say dude talks like a politician. Right on. I don't know which dude. At least for it's nice calling us dudes. We appreciate
Right?
that. But no, you got two guys here who are talking from the heart. We've known each other for 53 years. We've been involved in this for a long, long time. No way, man. You're getting it straight. I'm sorry. Ain't no politician here. We're not running for office. We're just telling you what we think. That's all. Okay. That's all it is. I'm sorry, but we love you, Ben. Thanks for writing into us. Go ahead,
That's
Doctor
great.
V.
Yeah. So is love necessary for unity or is it legislation? It's both. And I'll give you an example. We were around at a time when the Republicans and Democrats were opposed to each other on many issues. And yet the legislators would get together, they would be friends with each other, they would get together at functions, and they could get things done. You look at the Supreme Court. Who was it? There are two people, very different sides. Who was it? Ginsburg and who was the other Supreme Court justice that she? Scalia? Was it Scalia or
Scalia who died,
Scalia?
right?
Yeah, but they were friends with each other, completely opposite ends of the spectrum, but they respected each other. And again, that's how you get stuff done.
Yeah,
And
but
it's
let me
when you
ask you, Dr. V, how can I'm sorry, Ben, I loved you. Trump is a Soviet. He believes in direct dictatorship. The Soviets had no democracy. They were totally run by one or two people who had control, just like the billionaires here who Trump is going to begging them for money. You're asking, I'm telling you, that's what we think. It's not politician. That's what I think. It's really that simple. Trump is that red tie. He's a communist. He's straight up. He loves Joe McCarthy because he has Roy Cohn, Joe McCarthy's right hand was his right hand. Yep, that's right. But Ben, you got the right to believe what you want. We appreciate you writing in and going with us. What am I going to say to you? Let me throw this out though, Dr. V, because we were talking about this before. And, you know, I don't know why everybody's so stunned that Russia is over in North Korea. Am I missing something? Look, I'm not that smart. You're the smart one. I'm just kind of happening, okay? But it was so obvious to me that for the last few years, I've been pumping videos up saying it's Vladimir Putin. He's setting us up. He's coming after us. We got to get ready. And everybody went, but it's too obvious. Now they're shocked. He's in North Korea. How obvious is it? It was the American century. We didn't control it economically. The dollar had a major influence on the world. We had lots to do with all that kind of stuff. It was right on. And now people are going, well, Putin is the problem. Just like Iran runs Hezbollah and the Houthis and Hamas, Putin is trying to be above that and do the same thing and get North Korea and get China to do things for him, get Iran to do things for him, so he can deal with it and come after us because he hates America. He hates everything we stand for. Yet the MAGAs say, yeah, we're protected by the Pacific Ocean. Oh, yeah. Putin is about to give all this stuff to North Korea, to the young uns, so he can shoot stuff at us. What am I missing here, Doctor V? We're so busy fighting with each other. I think I did a video on, I think our biggest enemy is us, didn't I? If I'm missing something, we got to come together. And how can you like Vladimir Putin, the ultimate Soviet? Take it, run.
Yeah, well, no, you're absolutely right, and you've called it from the beginning, and now everybody understands what you've been saying for the past couple of years, that there is an axis of evil on the other side, that they're working together. Now, let me say something a little provocative, though. Okay,
Oh,
I'm gonna challenge you on something, Mark. I'm tossing it out there just to see
please.
Biden's response to this coalition of autocrats is to bring NATO back together, uh, to come together and present a firm response to their attempt to uh, work together. Now, if part of their motivation is that they are scared of NATO, they're scared that that could jeopardize their freedom, is our response to them just strengthening their alliance?
What freedom are we threatening of theirs, Volps? We're not threatening any freedom. Look, we didn't invade anywhere. They invaded Ukraine. They're pumping glide bombs in there and smashing people. They're destroying that country. He writes treatises saying he basically wants to be czar of the world. I mean, he wants Europe. What am I missing here? Oh, he's afraid. He's so afraid. All he does is attack. I think our problem is, I support Joe Biden. I'm up front. That's I'm going to vote for him. But the bottom line to me is I don't think he's been hard enough.
Yeah. Okay.
I
So
don't think he's been hard enough.
what
I
if
think he's got to be tougher. I think we should smash the Houthis. I said that a year ago. Don't take it from smash them. They want to be around and keep coming after us. Just keep smashing them. They won't keep hitting us. And then we say, okay, Iran, we know where you're bringing it in. We're going to smash that too. They'll back off. They would, but we can't just keep a little bit here, a little bit here. We run out of munitions. Then this happens. One of our boats is going to be hit, Dr. V. It's going to happen.
Yeah, no, and again, I agree with you in general, but what if Russia and Cuba had a strong alliance and there was Russian equipment in Cuba that was threatening us? I don't know if we would feel that comfortable, letting Cuba get away with it. And that's how they feel about Ukraine, that it's right on their border. It used to be part of the Soviet Union, and now Ukraine wants to join NATO right on their doorstep, and that's got to scare them a little bit. And so I think that's part of why they want to have a satellite of several countries around them to act as a buffer between them and NATO. Again,
Right. So
that may be
NATO,
their perspective.
who has NATO invaded?
Uh,
Who has NATO invaded? Tell me. Because NATO's nervous. Romania is nervous. Hungary's nervous. Poland's nervous. Who has NATO invaded? They're
it,
afraid of these guys coming after them. They haven't
well,
invaded anybody.
again,
Why did Switzerland and Finland join NATO?
both sides are afraid that the other side is going to invade them. Ask Iran, who NATO invaded. We went in there, right, to
Who?
Iran for no good reason.
And Iran.
Iran.
We
And
didn't go there. We went to Iraq.
I'm sorry, Iraq. We went after Iraq, right?
You know, that was a great reason. George Bush's father had been attacked by a missile, and that was a really good
I'm
reason to
talking
go in.
about the
I
second,
totally agree. Of
second
course,
George
it was
Bush.
the dumbest thing. He was
The
the worst
second
president
George
we
Bush
ever
goes
had.
after Iraq. Okay, NATO
Okay.
follows with us, right? Did NATO go along with that?
Our mistake in Iraq was taking on Iran. So the Bushes were just dumb and didn't think. I'm not taking up for anything. They did it to think. We didn't go to Iraq though to take the oil. We didn't go to Iraq to do anything, and we didn't belong in Iraq. And I'm not thrown out of the country because I say we didn't belong in Iraq. And you're not thrown out of the country, and you're not put in jail. Let's talk about the total differences between what we're dealing with here, okay? This guy pushes people out windows. He blows up jets. He kills you. He puts poison in you. He comes in. Let me ask you this. Why do Americans go to Russia? You know you're going to be kidnapped. You know you're going to be jailed. Why do you go there? Every time we hear about another guy, I understand some media, but every time I hear about another person going there, this guy went there because his girlfriend was there. I mean, okay, but What do you want us to? What are you going there for? I mean, you know what these people are. So think about it. They can come here and not worry about it, can't they? So I love hearing this, trying to be. I appreciate your position, and I say right on, and you got every right to believe it. But look at the difference. It's massive. It's massive. And Switzerland and Finland, for so many years, just stayed on the border of Russia, got so nervous that they joined NATO. This guy's talking nuclear weapons. Are we talking nuclear weapons? This guy, he goes to China, forces it. He's forced in North Korea because he wants these guys to fight on his behalf. Just like Iran wants the Houthis, the Hamas, and Hezbollah to fight on Iran's behalf, Russia wants the others to fight on their behalf while he throws his stuff in there. Look, you have every right to believe what you want. I see no moral equivalence. I see no equivalence between NATO or America or this guy. You read what he writes. He wants to be czar. He wants to own Europe. He says it. He wants to take us down. I don't understand how many videos right there. Let's take the guy's money. They got hundreds of millions of dollars sitting in banks. Why are we sitting on that cash? You'd see him doing any, he's doing whatever he wants to do.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
with you. He's afraid. He's afraid. He ain't afraid. He's throwing out and killing people left and right. Total genocide. Afraid? Ah.
I don't say these things because I believe it's true in the eyes
Don't
of God.
defend
I'm
yourself.
saying
You
this
have
is
every right to say it and ask it. And
um,
it's legitimate questions, Dr. V. So do it.
yeah. It's I'm trying to get in the head of the other side. And you might say,
Okay.
well, they don't have a right to think the way they do, but they do think that way. I mean, if people wonder why I, as a doctor, will sit down and try to understand other people's perspective. If I'm working with people who have anxiety disorder or depression or think their partner is a terrible person, I don't try to judge where they're coming from, but I want to understand where they're coming from so I can offer advice for how they can deal with the situation. It's like, I don't know, if you play poker, wouldn't it be useful if you knew your opponent's cards that they were holding?
Then
If the
what's your advice, Dr. V? Let's say you're right. And let's say everything Putin wrote is a lie because he never says he's afraid. He always says he wants.
right,
That's
right.
what he puts in writing. It's right there. But what is, assuming he's afraid, what is your answer?
If he's afraid, then the question is, how do you reduce his fear, and will
Tell
that
me,
make him
how do
more
you do it?
reasonable?
What are you throwing out there?
So, what's he afraid of? That's the question. Assuming
He's
he's
afraid
afraid.
of NATO. What do you want to do?
So, if he's afraid that Ukraine is going to join NATO and that's going to threaten him, somehow we have to.
Ukraine's not joining NATO. It's nowhere near joining NATO. So right now, Ukraine is not even on the fast track to NATO. Well, how do you make him happy? How do you make Putin happy? Tell me.
Oh, that's a good question.
The scared little baby boy Putin. How do you make him happy?
We have to understand what he's afraid of first. I
And you said
suspect
he's afraid
I
of
can
NATO.
I can suspect what he's afraid of, but I don't know what he's afraid of. But we need to
Should
find
we
out what is
stop
he
giving
afraid of.
weapons? Let me throw it to you just as thoughts. Should we stop giving weapons to Ukraine?
Well, at this point, we can't do that because then he'll take over Ukraine, and that would be a bad
But
precedent.
he's afraid. He's scared. We're there. Why shouldn't we stop giving weapons?
I think we have to give him an out. We have to give him a
Man,
way.
give him an out.
We have to give him.
I'm
I
with
don't
you.
know. I'm just throwing it out there. How are we
And I'm
going to
with
end this? How you tell me, Mark? How are we going to end this war in Ukraine?
It's Ukraine's decision, not ours. And then we
Hey,
decide if we're going to back them.
what are the possible outcomes? What are the realistic outcomes? That Russia
The
is.
realistic outcome is Cold War 3, it's Cold War 2.0, where things kind of end up settling the way they did in Berlin, where we had the wall. I'm not talking a wall per se, but where we had the wall which separated the two worlds. You had the Soviet Union over here, and you had America and its friends over here. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. And I think that's where we're going if we can keep it kind of under control without getting it. You're asking me, I could be totally
Yeah.
incorrect, but I think that's where it's going. And I think part of the problem is we're not letting the world know that there's stuff we're not going to put up with. And if we just like Russia's making it clear they're not going to put up with certain things, and the young Un's going to do what he wants to do. China's going in with axes and attacking the Philippine ships. We have to make it clear where we stand. But then I think it's just going to be a cold war. And my thought has been, I think we're going to have different economies. There's going to be, just like it used to be, our economy. I call it our, the European, Asian, American economy of that group. And then you're going to have the other group of the totalitarians, and we're going to see which one wins out. That's all. I mean, it'll be middle group that plays both sides.
Yeah, I mean, where are you going to put the wall in Ukraine? Like Crimea, they get Crimea. Russia gets
It's really going to be Ukraine's decision. I can't call it. It's going to be Ukraine's going to have to say we're willing to do something, and then we have to be willing to work with them on it. I'm with you. I don't know what the answer is because I don't think even if they make a deal, I don't think it's going to stop Putin. I think he's just going to keep on rocking. And I think he's just going to keep on doing what because he's great at putting these little green men in there and getting people all worked up. I just don't see how it ends. And I'll tell you this, China, at least yet, and we're not going to be around long enough to see it. And then China, I think we can work with if we play them right. But Russia is playing China, they're playing North Korea and Iran against us, and we're letting it happen. And we got these guys going on TV going, that's what gets me about the MAGA guys. They dress like communists, but they talk like they're not, but they are. I mean, how can you like Joe McCarthy?
well.
Think about Joe McCarthy. He was the absolute anti-American American.
This is what I worry about on the MAGA side. Republicans used to stand for individual freedom, small government. And now this Christian nationalism has me a little bit worried that, they start off with abortion. Now they're talking about in vitro fertilization, maybe contraception, things like that. When did the Republican Party decide that they want to get involved with people's personal affairs, things that don't affect other people, but they want to tell you morally how you should behave? And you're right, that has sort of a to when the government tells you how you should be, controls the media, takes control over not just the legislative system but the judicial system, that has the ring of communism, if you will.
It is. And communism was really just totalitarianism. It was just authoritarianism. It wasn't the true socialism
Right.
that Marx talked about. It just wasn't. So I mean, they try to use these words, but that's all it was. It was the people hated it growing up under that. And here we have a guy and a group of people who kind of extol it. They love it, and they're going like, yeah, let me ask you, cancel culture. Are you telling me MAGA isn't the ultimate cancel culture? If you don't agree with them, you're a rhino. If you don't agree with them, they throw you out of the party. If you don't agree with them, you're dirt. If you don't agree with them, you got nothing to do. That's cancel culture. So I listen to this and I see all this hypocrisy, and nobody's calling them out because everybody's trying to be nice and say, well, we got to have equivalence during the election and all this kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is this. Thursday's going to say it all, or a whole lot, because I've been watching them. First, they're saying Biden's dumb. He can't do it. He's 100 years old. He's senile. Now they're going, he's good. He's good. I'm watching him Sunday and yesterday. He's good. I'm going, wait a second. And who's talking here? Oh, don't underestimate him. This is the same guys who say he stares into the distance. I mean, it's it's just they don't say the same thing all. Nobody just calls these people down on it. But Thursday's going to matter so much because he's either got to do it or he isn't going to do it, and we're going to see what Trump's going to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about if Joe Biden can come across as competent, and if he
Well, he's
can,
been
he
competent.
wins the debate.
He's been pretty competent so far. They say, I mean, make sure, right? We got to make sure he doesn't shoot himself up with speed, right? Isn't that what they say? Speed, it works. Yeah, speed makes your brain work.
Yeah.
Doesn't speed make your brain work?
Oh
Let
yeah.
me ask you. I knew a lot of people in college. They took speed. Didn't make their brain work. Kept them up all night, but it didn't make their brain
Yeah,
work any
their grades
better.
the next day were no better than the people who didn't take the speed. No.
But we're going to talk about that on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Be with us when we do that. What are you thinking about the Middle East? I don't want to get. I hesitate getting into the Middle East, but what do you
5 minutes
think?
to solve the problems in the Middle East. It,
Woo!
I it's the same sort of thing. You have two tribes that have been going at it for thousands of years, right? And they have a lot more in common than they want to admit. Yet they hate each other. And I think that's sometimes when people are related to each other and they don't get along, the outcome is this kind of hate, irrational hate on both sides. And again, if you look at it logically, the only possible solution is a two-state solution where you have two independent countries that hopefully over time can begin to work together to help each other to move forward for the benefit of all its citizens.
And
But when,
that's easy for us to say. How are we going to do it? How's it going to happen? How's it going to happen when you got Netanyahu and the right wing goofs there? I'm telling you, Ben Giver and those guys. I'm sorry. I'm upfront. I'm a supporter of Israel. I've always been a supporter of Israel. Hamas is an enemy of America. Hezbollah is an enemy of America. Iran is an enemy of America. It's that simple. These guys can run around their Palestinian whatever is all they want. Those people, Hezbollah, Hamas, and Iran, are enemies of America. You support them, you're supporting our enemies. That's just how I look at it. It's really, really simple. But at the same time, Netanyahu is playing our politics and he's getting in the middle of our politics. He's coming to Congress. I wouldn't go to see him, and I would understand people not going to see him, but they're trying to play politics. But why is this guy who's getting billions of dollars of aid from us, Netanyahu, but it's got nothing? He's moaning, he's groaning. We have kept them around. We've kept taking care of them. I'm tired. We have to. They're our ally fighting our enemies. But at the same time, Netanyahu is garbage. I'm sorry. He's Trump. He's
yes,
absolute garbage. And he's where we will end up with other countries if you see what's happening with Israel, because he's such a horrible leader, he's such a liar. He's all he cares about is his own. He doesn't want to be found guilty like Trump. He's only worried
right.
about that. He doesn't care about Israel. He only cares about himself. So you got that going on. This is what we're going to have here if we have a Trump MAGA victory, because all they care about is themselves. They're not going to care about what's going on all around because they're going to play politics. And meanwhile, Netanyahu comes to think how he's hurting Israel. Israel had always had bipartisan support. You come in, you're taking sides. What are you doing taking sides, Netanyahu? I'm just really sick about it. It's just, I hate the guy. I really do. A lot of people do. He's killing Israeli support here in America and is making people forget that our enemy is Iran and Hamas and Hezbollah, and taking it on himself instead of being smart. He ain't smart. He's just another politico who's running around controlled by his right wing MAGA group who won't even fight to support Israel. They'd stay home and pray all day. That's what saves Israel. You know that. You know, when people pray, that saves the country. Here, it's going to make all the difference in the world. If we prayed every morning, we'd be a better country. You know that, right? Oh, yeah. God will come right down. I keep waiting. All these people know what God says. Please give me his phone number so I can talk to him.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right on. And I think we have to distinguish between the people who run a country, the government officials, and the people who live in the country. I mean, I know people from Russia, good people, good human beings live there. They don't like Putin, but they can't do much about it. People who live in Israel, great people, but their government's not so great. And we can even extend that to Palestinians. Hamas, horrible, not in the best interests of their people. You know, they go in there and create chaos. Yet the government officials, the people who are head of Hamas, where are they? They're probably in some fancy hotel outside a range where they can be hurt, but they send their own people in there to be fodder for their individual needs. The government should be representing the people, have the people's interest at heart, not their own individuals'
There's no
interest at heart.
government. There's no government. And when we got a problem over here, it's just there's just and it's just not good. It's easy for us to talk. It's easy for us to be on the outside and talk about it. I don't think anybody cares about the Palestinians. I'm upfront about it. I don't think Israel does. I don't
Right.
think any of the Arabs do. They've had decades to do something to rebuild Gaza. I didn't see Saudi Arabia and Gaza building Gaza up. I didn't see the Emirates or the UAE or any of those guys in there building up Gaza. All we saw is a lot of cash going in so they could build more tunnels, so they can have more weapons, so that more of their people can die. I mean,
Right.
that's really what it's come down to. And it's like, and they just want more people to die. And the other problem we've got is, I think it's just a different way of looking at life. Death is good to us, to the West. Death
Yeah.
is, you get to it. When it happens, it happens. You're not looking to rush your way there. And that's another thing we have to understand here as Americans. We look at life a lot differently that way. We're not looking to die tomorrow. It ain't great to die unless somebody's attacking you and you got to take care of yourself.
We're not looking at the big picture, the long term, the long game. There are human beings who happen to be born Arab, Palestinians, who probably have the same needs that all other human beings have. They want to be able to love somebody, to have some work, to feed themselves, to raise their children. And no one cares about those Palestinians. Not not their government, not Hamas, and you're right, not other Arab countries, certainly not Israel. If things are ever going to get better there, someone has to pay attention to that group. And I think that's sort of where some of the misguided demonstrations from young people come to. They can identify with Palestinians who have no one on their side to promote their welfare. And I think if somebody came in and said, look, we're interested in their welfare, we're concerned about their ability to live, to love, to be productive, that's when I think long term you're going to see change in their government and ultimately peace in the Middle East.
Ain't
But
gonna
now,
happen until the Arabs stand up for their own and try to take care of their own. And it just ain't gonna happen. And I'm telling you, Saudi Arabia and those groups say, we got billions. Stop the war now. We're gonna go in. We're gonna rebuild Gaza. We're gonna work with people. They don't do it because
what?
I don't think
Why?
they like them. I don't think they
Why?
like them. They've had, you ask them, I don't know. All I know is the Arab nations have had decades and decades to help the Palestinians. They've done nothing. They've sent some money, a lot of talk, and done absolutely nothing. And it's their fault as much as anybody else's. And I don't think after it's thousands of years, I don't know, we're going to get an answer today or tomorrow. It's really kind of a bummer. But let me ask you this. You see where DeSantis said it's not climate change that's going on with all this heat and all this water and everything going on. It's normal. It just kind of goes off to the side. We're not getting hotter. We're not having CO2 issues. Right? DeSantis, the guy who had those white booties on up to his knees. I mean, you look at these guys. Oh, it's not climate change. That ain't happening. It isn't happening, Dr. V, right? You don't see the climate changing, do you? No, I'm sure you don't, do you? Tell me.
My son lives near Orlando, and that becomes beachfront property because Florida goes under the sea. Then see what DeSantis says. It's ridiculous. Again, I don't understand why people place politics ahead of science, ahead of facts, and he's playing to some group that wants to hear that. But in his heart, he has to know what the facts are.
But science isn't real. You know that. We're going to hear a beep beep in a second. Don't be surprised. Science isn't real. What is science? Science is fiction. They call it science fiction, right? It isn't real. It's science fiction. That's what everybody says. They forget that science constantly changes. There's nothing that's 100%, but it moves. You learn what's the best then, and you keep trying to learn, and you keep trying to move forward instead of saying everything is cynically wrong and bad and everything else. But science, what are you talking about? There's no such thing as science. There's no such thing as history. I mean, People weren't enslaved in America, were they?
Oh my
No.
goodness. Well, I mean, if you ignore science, you ignore it at your own peril. I mean, that's how things evolve. Ideas evolve. Our technology evolves. Living organisms evolve, and it evolves because of science. Things that work go into the future. Things that don't work die out. And if you want to ignore science, if you want to ignore evolution, then you're going to die out too. Uh, we have to embrace that you have theories, you have ideas about things, but then you test them. Some ideas are good, some ideas don't work, but you constantly evolve as you learn more things. And
Man, we're learning. I'm sorry, go ahead. We're learning so much more now. Well, I've been reading about it called the cavemen, but about the Neanderthals and all these different groups, how they intermarried, how now we're finding people where we never thought we'd find bones before and stuff. You just learn and you just keep going. And that's one good thing about kind of being older. We may be boomers. I know boomer. I hear it all the time. I laugh because experience, they used to call it wisdom. And maybe it isn't wisdom, but it shows you because when you're used to getting kicked in the tuchus for 70 years, you remember those times and you don't want it to happen again. That's your experience. You do the right thing afterwards. And when it's just like science, you just got to keep learning. Hope you don't go too crazy. Hope we keep AI under control. I believe we will, but hope we keep all this under control as we go forward and try to be cool about all this stuff. But we have to be open minded about it instead of I just don't understand. But it's not mine to understand because we're the old dudes. And we could just sit here and tell people, hey, this is what we think. We're not making money on what we're saying out there, Dr. V. We're just telling people what we think. We appreciate so many people giving us thumbs up in the hearts and watching us, but at the same time, hey, I think we kind of know what's kind of going on. We've seen it. We lived the Cold War. We lived all this stuff. We lived the marches. We lived the civil rights era. We understand a lot of it. We don't have all the answers. So you just got to quit fighting. Everybody got to start coming together, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen for a while. I've got to get this election out of the way. And like I said, Thursday's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Now, a quickie on you on Thursday, and then we'll talk more Wednesday, then we'll roll. What do you think is going to happen Thursday? I mean, it's wide open. Wednesday, you can change what you're
yeah,
saying today. So you're open to say what you want to say.
well, I think Biden will come out with some energy, and he'll surprise the people who think that he's a senile idiot. And but then the MAGA folks will say that's not his natural state, that he was all juiced up on some stimulant, and that's
Well,
why he behaved.
speed, we talked about that earlier. Speed
Yeah,
makes you smarter,
yeah,
right?
and yeah,
Didn't you tell me that, Dr.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. That corrects all problems. So and then at the end of the day, we'll see of the X percent, the small percent of people that still have an open mind to see if it helps sway a few votes. Right now,
How
the
do you,
election looks like it's going to be razor close, razor
how do you
thin.
think Trump's going to do? Don't
What's
tell
that?
me Biden. How do you think
Now,
Trump's going
oh,
to
well,
do?
it'll be interesting to see what he does when they turn off his mic. Does he keep talking anyway? I mean, his his plan is always to be aggressive, to be on the offense. He's never on the defense, and so somehow Biden will probably throw in a couple of jabs at him, and he'll come in all aggressive and offensive to show how strong he is and that sort of thing. And then it'll be interesting to see when he cut off his mic. Does he keep going or does he shut up?
I don't think.
That's what I want to see.
I think it's going to be more under control than you think. I think they're working him to be more under control. You can't control the guy, so I think he's going to try to keep things. We're going to see. It's an hour and a half. I'm psyched to watch it.
I'm sure he's being trained to be under control.
Ooh,
But as Mike Tyson said, once you get hit in the face, your game plan goes out the window. So once
yeah, but
Biden
Tyson
throws
was
in
a
a
winner.
jab, we'll
Yeah, but
see what
Tyson was
happens.
a winner.
He
But
was the
Dr.
winner.
V, Tyson was a winner. He was Iron Mike. Okay, he only lost because he lost his manager and everything. He was Iron Mike. This guy ain't Iron Mike. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be great. You could be so right. I have no idea. All I know is I'm psyched. Either way, we're going to be back on Wednesday at 11 a.m. We appreciate everybody who came in. We had a lot of viewers today. This is fun. Keep coming. We're going to be doing this. And then Friday at 11, we stay on our post. You got stuff, jump our post. And I think Dr. V is going to be doing a community post soon on what channel, Dr. V?
Dr. V
Don't
with
want to
a whole
say it
bunch of
yet?
numbers after it. I don't know.
Okay, we're holding back on his channel right now. We'll get to Dr. V's channel. We're bringing him in to the 21st century. We're bringing him in. Now, remember something. When you look at us, to us, the Civil War was the 1800s. Some people look at us and think we were born in the 1800s. When were you born, Mark? 53. Oh, 1853. No. Okay. So it's like,
We were born after World War II ended. We were not around
right.
for World War II.
Oh, man. We know the greatest generation. They're gone.
Exactly.
They
They're
raised
gone.
us. They
Yeah,
raised us.
they raised us.
Too much,
They were a
baby.
great generation.
They were great. There ain't many left.
No,
We gotta hope we keep it together. Either way, we're going to. I love you, Dr. V.
love you,
Now,
Mark.
what is our close, Dr. V? What's our close here?
And that's the way it is.
Period. We'll see you all Friday. Well, I'm sorry, Wednesday at 11 a.m. Thanks for checking in. See you later.
Take care.